got a second lunch option that I'm really excited to show you. It's a cold rice noodle salad with herby tahini dressing, and I love it because it's really versatile. There's 3 different ways that you can put it together. The first is you prepare all of your ingredients at home, put it together at home, and travel it to your campsite. The second is that you can prepare a few of the ingredients ahead of time, travel them to your campsite either in a cooler or in your RV refrigerator, and then put it together in camp, as we'll do here. Or you can put the entire thing together at camp if you have time between adventures. As I mentioned, I've prepared a few of the ingredients ahead of time, and then I'm gonna assemble the remainder here in camp. Basically what I've done is cooked a package of rice noodles according to the package directions, and then strained them with cold water to wash off the extra starch, and drizzled a little bit of sesame oil so that they don't stick together. At this point, you can stick these into a plastic bag or a travel container and travel them with you wherever you might be going, and then assemble your salad when you arrive. Once you arrive, as we have here, I'm going to go ahead and take some of my other components and turn them into flavorful parts of this meal. Here on the table to my right, I have all the other fresh ingredients that are going to go into this salad. I've got a bowl of chopped baby spinach and some chopped Asian greens, some chopped carrot. I've got a little bit of chopped cucumber and some radish sprouts to add a little color. And these ingredients are all going to go into the salad raw, so I can prep them ahead of time or prep them in camp. I've got some asparagus here that I'm going to saute in a minute. And then I've got some, in this case, baked tofu, but you could also add chicken, or if you really wanted, you could add hard-boiled eggs to this dish. I have some fresh herbs that I'm going to snip into my tahini dressing and use to finish off the salad when I'm all done. So let's get going. I'm going to start by turning the heat on my little gas stove here. And instead of ghee today for lunch, I'm going to use sesame oil. Sometimes sesame oil stands in for olive oil in my pantry. I just happen to have some, and it'll lend a really nice flavor and marry everything together really well in this dish. So I'm going to add a small drizzle of that to my pan. And then I have this little bowl here of trimmed asparagus. Basically, I just trimmed off the rough ends and chopped the spears in half. I could do them whole if my pan was a little bit bigger, but this is what I got. And I'm just going to add these to the pan. So I'm just stirring my asparagus to coat it with a little bit of the sesame oil, and then I'm going to season with salt and pepper. And I'm just going to allow these to cook. There's quite a few of them in my pan, so rather than getting super crispy and like dark, they're going to kind of steam and just become this tender, lovely green. And I'm going to let them do their thing while I make my sauce. So here in my little jar, I'm going to snip a little bit of this cilantro, and it's going to work great for this purpose. And I'm going to go ahead and use my little kitchen shears to snip small pieces straight into the jar. If you don't have cilantro and you have dill instead, that would totally work here, or even parsley. And this is an herby tahini sauce, so we're really going to go for it. He's starting to talk to me. I like it. Okay, so we've got a little cilantro in here. Then I'm going to add the juice of 1 lime. Not worried about having any of the zest in this case. And if you're not carrying fresh limes with you in the RV, you can use vinegar or lemon juice if you want, or even orange juice if you have it. And by the way, if you're not carrying any fresh citrus but you have orange juice in a bottle, you can also use that. Okay, so I've got my lime juice here. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper to the bottom. And right off the bat, I'm going to add a little bit of this smoked red pepper flake. Now we'll add my tahini. So as you've seen, I usually carry some kind of nut butter or seed butter with me. This recipe works beautifully if you have tahini, but if you have almond butter, you could also make this recipe with that. You could also use peanut butter, which makes a really delicious kind of Thai style peanutty sauce. I'm going to go ahead and grab a nice scoopful of this, maybe even 2. And I'm making it in kind of a larger jar, so I'll have a little left over for later if I want to add it to a sandwich or a grain bowl or something along those lines. The last thing I'm going to add is a nice drizzle of maple, and I'm going to go ahead and stir this up with my spoon. So the tahini in this case is going to kind of seize a little bit and become difficult to spread, which is fine. I expect that. I want that to happen. That's how I know that I have a good balance of acid and fat in here. And then I'm going to add just some plain cold water to thin it out. I'm just eyeballing the water. I don't have a specific measurement for it. I just want to see that the dressing comes together and pours easily, because I'm going to pour it over my rice noodles. Check on these guys. They're looking really nice. They're looking really tender and perky green. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat off on this, and we're gonna get ready to assemble our salad. Toss these noodles up. Come on, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and take my dressing and pour it over the rice noodles, and then I'll add some other ingredients to kind of loosen everything up and combine it. I'm not looking to use all the dressing, just enough to kind of coat the noodles. You could also divide this up into small jars and assemble it in the jar, and then every person in your vehicle can eat their own little salad, or you can serve it like this in a big format. To this, I'm going to add a couple handfuls of my greens here, kind of maybe tearing a little bit more as I go. Now, to the top of my bowl, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of carrot and all the remaining fresh components. We'll make it look really nice. If you don't have these specific components, you can use whatever you have on hand. Snap peas are also really nice. Again, don't touch very hot things with your bare hands unless you have no feeling left in your fingertips. We'll add a little bit of our tofu here. And then to make it even more beautiful, let's go ahead and add a little bit of these beautiful cilantro flowers that we found at the market again. And lastly, I'm going to add some of these pretty little radish sprouts. And sprouts are really wonderful to add to your meals, especially in the spring and summer, because they're basically tiny versions of the plant, so they're packed with nutrients and minerals, and they're really, really beautiful to add to your plates too. And there we have it. Cold rice noodle salad with herby tahini dressing. We can add a little bit more tahini dressing when we serve this. Serve it as a family style option or serve it in individual portions. It's time for lunch. Next up on our 2-day adventure menu, dinner.